this is working. Hold on. Let's go live again. Give me 1 second. All right, we are live on all platforms. Welcome, you guys. Welcome, everybody. And just giving you guys a moment to hop on. For those of you that do not know and you're just tapping in now, I'm doing a holiday series, which is changing the way that we go about the holidays and how we're entering them, how we're exiting them, and really using this as a time to set our mindset, to reset our mindset on how to thrive this holiday season. So welcome if you're just joining. We're in day 5. We're in day 5 of how to thrive during the holidays. So of course, hey, what's up? So letting you guys know if there's anything specifically, I need you to go and take one moment and let everybody know of what we're up to right now. Today, we're going to be talking about the conflicted mind. And just how to get your mind right and the battle of the mind and understanding like which part of your mind do you want to win? What part of the mind do you want to win in regards to how you're going to thrive this holiday season? So I'm gonna give you guys a moment to hop on, but I also want to give you an opportunity to go ahead and let other people know that might need to shift their mindset on thriving this holiday season. Let them know that we're having this live stream because every single one has just been really, really good. And if I say something that really resonates with you, that you find is very powerful, that really hit you in your heart, go ahead and repeat it in the chat. So those that get to hop on a little bit later, they can read those like little quotes that really like got you to think a little different, because my intention is to make sure that you guys are in a really beyond amazing space so that you can really feel capable of changing the way that you're going about your day-to-day life, especially this holiday season. So what I want to do is for a line of work that I get, I work with a lot of execs and high-end achievers and people striving to become. I'm getting a lot of messages lately. And so I want to give you this because I've been giving this to my clients and I've also been pouring into myself. I shared in my stories of how I spent my morning to recenter myself, that I'm capable of showing up for you guys. Is if you're okay with it, with your permission, you don't have to do it. It's only going to be like literally 10 seconds. We're going to ground ourselves and we're going to center ourselves. And at any point in time, if you feel like disconnected or you feel like you're feeling worry or anxiety or you're feeling stressed out about something, come back to this breathing exercise. There's so much power in our breath. It really teaches us to operate in a present state of energy, and that energy is your superpower because it's where you're most clear. You have the best decisions. You make the best decisions. You have the best conversations. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start with putting our hand on our heart. I like to put 2 hands on my heart. And our hands are an extension of our heart, for those that you don't know. So our hands are an extension of our heart. We're going to put our hands on our heart. And you're just going to take a moment to settle in with yourself. Check in with you. Regardless of what's going on in life or what's happening, your circumstances, your situations, what you're anticipating. And you can watch me first, but we're going to take a deep breath in. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. And when you're ready, you're going to gently open up your eyes. Didn't that feel amazing? Like, that's it. That's all you need to sometimes give yourself that healthy timeout. And it comes in, I mean, I've learned it for years. I've been teaching it for years. I practice it almost just about every day. And it always is that beautiful, healthy timeout that we need in order to really collect ourselves and to check in with our energy and know that like we're responsible for the way that we're showing up in our day and the energy that we're projecting out. So, hey, Renee, what's going on? So, anything that I say, like I said, take a moment, you guys just hopping on. Go let your friends know we're live. We're going to be talking about the conflicted mind today. This call comes all from the Traveler ebook. And so, I have some special announcements next week, but not today. The conflicted mind. And of course, if there's any questions that you have, go ahead and drop them below. And if you ever want to hop on and do like conversation specifically, or if you have a question and you want to have like the coaching on it, I'm also using this time for you to take advantage of that opportunity, because the whole theme around these 30 days is transitioning our obstacles into opportunities and our pain into power. And that's really what the theme is going to be about for the next 30 days. And I mean, for the rest of your life, transitioning your obstacles into opportunities and your pain into power. So today's main topic is about the conflicted mind. When we're in a space of our growth and making changes, there's experiences we have not yet experienced. And that can lead to anxiety. It can lead to fear. It can lead to stress, because a version of ourselves, which we know, which we talked about yesterday, knowledge can only stem from experience. You cannot know something if you've not had an experience with it. If it's either that or just an assumptions of somebody said something, and so you're anticipating it, but if you have not had your own experience with it, then you do not know. That's the only way knowledge is attained. So when you are in this process of transitioning or stepping into your next level of growth, because the season you're in no longer satisfies you, the conversations you're having no longer satisfy you, the decisions you're making, the places you're positioning yourself no longer satisfy you, that's when you know it's your next level of growth. I had a conversation with a friend yesterday, and we were just talking a little bit back and forth through text message. And he's like, well, how do I know? Like, will I ever be satisfied? And I said, there's a discernment. There's a way to differentiate the two, a way to be able to like know the difference. Yes, we want to have a life filled with satisfaction. So I feel satisfied when I eat this meal. I feel satisfied when I do this workout. I feel satisfied when I do whatever it is that you're trying to do. But when you're ready for change and growth, because you're not wanting to live life like moving into that next level, that next version of where you're going, you're not going to feel satisfied because you've outgrown it. And when you're in that space of the transitional space, this is where the confliction of your mind can be brought up, this conflict of the mind. And during the process of making healthier changes, health isn't just the physical. Health is, that's why a lot of on my platform, what I focus in on is the mental, physical, emotional, and energetic, because they all are a part of learning how to get on your own winning team. It's not just the physical. Physical is one component out of many of what health is. So when you're in this space of a conflicted mind and you're in the process of making healthier meaning your mental, your physical, your emotional, and your energetic health, in the process of making healthier changes and trying to take yourself to that next level of wherever it is you're trying to go, there's going to be conflicted feelings that tear you apart, because you're stepping from the known, from your experiences, into the unknown of something that you have not yet experienced, but like it's time for you to grow and to expand and to thrive. And that's really thriving. We said the definition yesterday is when you are making progress It's a progress. It's a forward movement. It's a forward movement in your life. It's a forward movement in your mindset. It's a movement. It's not a stagnation. Inner conflict is when there's that battle going on between our past self and our future self. And there's a story of the two wolves. If you haven't read it, go back and, pull it up on YouTube or where it talks about the battle of two wolves, which they say it's the battle between, the negative and the positive, which we said we're eliminating labels, but it's the self-doubt, the aggression, the anger, the insecurity, the laziness, the procrastination, and then you have your action taking, you have your positivity, you have love, you have compassion, you have grace, you have kindness, you have all these things. And which version is going to win? It's the version that you're feeding. It's the version that you're allowing to dominate. And one thing, I emphasize to people when we start the work is it's an exercise, and it's going to be weak until it becomes strong. So when you're in the process of strengthening one version of you, of thriving or surviving, which one are you practicing the most? Which one are you feeding? Which one are you working on? It is a workout. And with any workout, it's not simple. It's not easy. It's hard. You will be challenged. You will be pushed, but you showed up for it. You put effort, you put energy, you put your time into being intentional with what you're creating. And that's what being an intentional creator is. And that's where this whole thing of holiday thriving, we're putting our attention on thriving this year. And these conversations might not always be pleasant. They might not always, be like, hoorah, hoorah, let's go. But they're getting you to think differently. And you know that I'm here. You know that there's going to be other people here to be able to support that. So every day, you make the decision of which direction you're going to feed. And the one that is the past self, we keep projecting into the future until you change your mind, until you decide to put in time, energy, effort into your workouts for thriving versus just surviving, because energy is only going one or two ways. You cannot be in the same place. You cannot be in two places at the same time. You have to choose. But a lot of times we just choose what's convenient of what's known because it's comfortable, even when it's uncomfortable, which makes no sense at all. Because it's not comfortable, working on ourselves. It's not like exciting working on ourselves. It's not exciting being consistent with something. It actually becomes boring. And that's where people, get into these relapses, because it's consistency, it's commitment, it's showing up when you don't feel like it. It's not always going to be stimulating, and when you understand the process and the psychology of what happens with true growth, change, and transformation, you're going to be more on board with it, because you're going to choose how you want to live your life, and it's your life. At least enjoy it. If you're going to like be miserable, then at least own up to it, But I don't think that's the case for you guys. So when we're talking about this inner conflict, the inner conflict with this confliction of the mind comes back to the battle of our past, because it's the known and it's convenient, and we've been practicing it for so long that it's comfortable. Like, yes, addictions and attachments can even come based off of feeling complacency or feeling anger or feeling frustration. So the other, for the left-hand side, is the change, the growth, the expansion, and feeding that is going to be unknown, uncharted territory. So it's that battle between our future self and our past self. And where does this inner conflict come from? So remember, if you guys are listening in and there's something that I say that you're like, wow, that was powerful, go ahead and drop that below. And make sure you share this with people, because we're having some really, really great conversations today. So where does this inner conflict come from? This confliction of the mind, the battle, the discernment, because then you're like, oh, shoot, which one's going to win? But the stronger one is just because you've practiced it for so many years. You've practiced survival mode. You've practiced being miserable. You've practiced the negative self-talk for so many years. So it's going to be stronger because you've given it your attention. You've given it practice. So it becomes a little bit more effortless. And that's where we create frustration because we're like, why is it so much harder to be positive? Why is it so much harder to be, an action taker? Why is it so much harder to be looking at things from a different angle or showing up for things that I know are good for me? It's just because you haven't practiced it. It's not that people that are like have achieved heightened levels of success and those haven't, they're superhuman. It's just that they don't let those voices win. Those voices are still there. They just don't allow those voices to win. Yeah, my background is amazing. So I'll let you guys see like more of it because actually is a better angle. So this is really about the confliction of the mind and what version of yourself do you want to win? Is it going to be our past self or is it going to be our future self? And just understanding where this conflict comes from and being a little easier on yourself, having some compassion, just knowing that most of the time, a lot of us have grown up with like negative environments where there was a lot of negative talk and it was the normal. It was the way of giving love. It was the way of, and so we take that on from early childhood of that becomes our own dialogue. So you think you're living 20, 30, 40, 50 years with that type of self-dialogue. You've been practicing it for those many years. It's going to be easy to transition that over to being nice to yourself, to forgiving yourself for your past mistakes. Like that's really what thriving is. Thriving is about making progress in a forward movement mindset. And every single day is your big break. Today is your second chance. Today is your opportunity of transitioning that. The moment you catch yourself putting yourself down and are like not having your back, you just start speaking life into yourself. Even if it doesn't feel right and it doesn't feel good and you feel like you're lying to yourself, it's better to start there because beliefs come from saying things over and over and over again until we are like, oh, wait, that's true. So if that's what a belief is, and now we have to do is kind of give it some repetitions. Remember, it's a muscle. We have our physical workouts, we have our mental workouts, we have our emotional workouts, and we have our energy workouts. So if we just have physical workouts, what makes us think? And we're strengthening our body, and our body can be transformed and strengthened and through consistency every single day, and then adding a little extra weight, a little extra challenge to challenge the muscles, to tear the muscle fibers. So tearing away the old, to rebuilding and repairing and building the new. It's the same concept for our mind, for our energy, for how we're showing up in our energy. And the more you practice, the faster you're going to get. The faster you're going to get at resetting. And one thing I always say is like, I share my stories like when I'm doing some of my weight trainings and when I'm working out. Think of it like this, because a lot of you guys do have a rebellious mindset, a rebellious personality. So think of it like this. You're going to be frustrated the moment you're trying something new. It's going to happen. You're going to feel anger. You're going to feel resentment. You're going to feel, it doesn't matter. You have to do it anyway. And you're going to do it until eventually you like it. And that's just that's how it works. You're going to do it. You're going to not like it because you're not going to believe it's true. You're going to believe for whatever reason, you're the only person in the world that doesn't deserve to receive good things to happen to you. That's not true. You are a gift in this world. You are a blessing. And it's really up to you to start stepping into that, because if you don't believe it, what makes you think anybody else is going to believe in it? If you don't believe in yourself, what makes you think that anybody else is going to believe in you? It has to start with you and how you treat yourself first, because that extends into every single thing that you do in your life, whether it being writing an email, whether it being showing up on a social post, whether it being having a conversation in person with somebody. It all comes down to like really knowing like it's practice. It's practice. It's practice. And so when you take a moment and think of it like this, try it. I always say this, and this helps a lot with my clients, like just try it and give it, I don't even say 30 days because it takes longer than 30 days. But if you have more of a short-term mindset, you can say 30 days. No, like shorter than 30 days. Since we're in a 30-day sprint, let's just say 30 days. Try it for 30 days. Stay consistent. Commit to it. You can even track your progress with it. And if it doesn't work and you've experienced nothing from it, then you can go back to what you've been doing. So if you take that mindset, let me try, and I'm going to commit. Let me try, and I'm going to commit and be consistent with it for 30 days. And if I receive no benefit from it, then I'm going to go back to doing what I've known best and what I've been doing. Nobody ever turns back. Nobody ever turns back, because what you've been doing now of the negative self-talk, the neglect of your body, being like mean to yourself in your mind, not pouring into yourself, like those things are all making you a liability. A liability to yourself, a liability to your families, a liability to your businesses. And so give it a try for 30 days. The moment you see yourself like bashing or putting yourself down, transition is something positive. It's not going to feel pleasant. A lot of people don't talk about the emotions of change. It's not going to feel pleasant. You're actually going to get more angry when you try to be nice to yourself. It happens. You're going to be more angry when you try to be nice to yourself or when you try to transition it than if you actually go ahead and allow yourself to keep being mean, because you have to take that subconscious into conscious awareness. So that's what we talk about as far as today. For those of you that are hopping on a little bit later, we're talking about the confliction of the mind and the inner conflict and the self and how we're treating ourselves and those conflicts of our feelings. So yeah, that's what this is here for you guys. So Matthew Kelly, so today's topic is all around confliction of the mind. Matthew Kelly says in his book, Perfectly Yourself, he says that usually in these moments, we know what we should do. We know which of the options will lead to long-term sustainable happiness, but we are attached to the momentary pleasures, so instant gratification. Matthew Kelly also states that sometimes something that can begin as pleasure can transform into pain, like overeating, going back to unhealthy relationships, not dealing with your own stuff, knowing you're not even ready to be in a relationship, and trying to project your shiznit on other people because you haven't taken a moment to heal yourself. That's not cool. So those eating too much, processing sugars, eating too late at night, not exercising, and not taking care of yourself. So these are things that can be that, not dealing with your pain, what in the moment is still instant gratification and projecting all your stuff onto other people because you don't want to deal with yourself, but it's all short term. So this is you playing for the short game, not the long game, which is always going to lead to suffering. There's a difference between pain and suffering. Pain is real, suffering is optional. Pain is, man, I got to deal with my shiznit right now. I have to process this. My energy's all whacked out right now. I need to take a few hours. I need to reset myself. I got my tools. I'm going to do some tapping stuff. Might show you guys a little bit of that. Paulina knows what's up. I got to do my processing of my emotions. This morning I rollerbladed to the beach. I meditated on the beach, rollerbladed back, ready to go. I needed just a few hours this morning to recalibrate myself. And so, that sometimes is painful, having to sit with yourself and not projecting your stuff on other people, because it's not fair. It's not fair, and it's not fair to you to keep dragging out that suffering, or numbing yourself even with something commonly accepted as to food. And I can speak this because, at one point I was 60 pounds heavier. I numbed myself with food and alcohol. And I show that in my transformational post, and I was really great at lying. Like really great. I know my friend Renee was on here and he's a body language expert. I was really great at lying that I was like positive and happy. And inside I was miserable. I was ugly. I was just so unhappy. I was super depressed and nobody knew because I was a great actress. And I always wanted to be an actress when I was a kid. And we are actors and actresses in real life. But it's time that we really stop acting and we be authentic and real, at least with ourselves. Because you're stuck with you for the rest of your life. And the moment you decide to take ownership, and then of course you can act into like, what role do I want to play? How do I want to upgrade myself? How do I want to, transition my personality traits? How do I want to better myself? How do I want to better my body? That's cool. You do not to fake it till you make it, but to like deal with it, heal with it, and like be it and establish what you have to be and what you have to overcome in order to become the person you want to become. We did that exercise, I think last week already, on what you have to overcome in order to become who you want to become. Because a lot of times people talk about adding stuff, add. A lot of times we need to release stuff. We need to peel back stuff so that we can really be free to really be who we were meant to be, which is like light, conscious love, truth. Like those are our natural states of being: happy, joyful, healthy. Those are our natural states of being. We weren't designed to be angry. We weren't designed to be depressed. We weren't designed to be anxious. We weren't designed to like be miserable. That's not what we were designed to be. So sometimes we have to overcome things in order to step back into the truth of what we were created to be. And that's where we're coming back into that confliction of the mind. Yesterday we talked about deserving. I don't deserve to have, I don't deserve to put myself first. I don't deserve to pour into me. I don't deserve to receive. A lot of people have a hard time receiving help, asking for help, receiving, hey, I'm not in a good space. I need help right now. And I don't know how to get out of it. I'm anticipating things. I don't even know how to get there. I don't even know how I'm going to handle it. I feel weak right now. Of course, having safe groups to be able to express that to. Not everybody's deserving of your vulnerability. But when you have supportive groups or mentors or coaches or communities that can support you, then that's where you want to be. But do not pour yourself or your vulnerabilities or project your stuff onto people that cannot support it. Yeah. So society makes you feel as if you ask for help, you're weak. But you know what? I'm weak until I'm strong. So claim it. Right now, I'm weak until I'm strong. I suck at this until I'm great at it. It's okay. The moment you accept all aspects of self, the faster you're going to move out of whatever it is that you're shaming yourself on. So society really does more about teaching being ashamed, shaming yourself, shaming others. But what does that do for us? Yeah, I'm weak until I'm strong. It's okay. I'm going to get strong. That's what the gym is so great for when you're working out. It's such a great training of the body to strengthen the mind. When you're in the gym and you start to see through consistency, through showing up every day, regardless of my emotional state, because remember, that's what commitment is. Commitment is staying true to what you said you were going to do long after the emotional state you set it in has left you. When you're like, wow, I really am weak. My muscles are so weak. It doesn't last long. After about a good month or 2 or 3, you're like, wow, I got so strong. My mind is weak until it's strong. My body's weak until it's strong. My body is unhealthy until it's healthy. My environment is unhealthy. The moment we accept, this is a big part of also transformation. Acceptance is such a huge stepping stone to making progress. The moment that we can be honest about what's not serving us and the state that we're in, mental state, emotional state, energetic state, physical state, the faster we can make progress. This morning I woke up, I'm like, whoa, who is showing up today? I'm like, nope, that is not showing up today. I am not projecting that into anything that I do. I'm about to go check myself and I got to pivot out of it. So I was like, where do I need to be? Beach. I need to be at the beach. I need a rollerblade. I need fresh air. I need to listen to some like positive stuff in my head because my mind is going a little kooky right now. And I accept that. I accept that was a state that I was in, but I knew how to shapeshift it quickly. And that's what transitions people from like the good from the great, the people that are doing, from the elites. If you look at yourself as an athlete, and there's all different athletes. There's athletes that dabble. There's athletes that are like complacent. There's athletes that are totally fine sitting the bench. And there's athletes that are gonna be thriving MVPs, the top championship game. Do you think that they don't have off days? You want me to tell you the biggest difference, because I work with pro athletes, the biggest thing that's shifted them is how quickly they get out of that state. Nobody's super, well, yeah, we can be superhuman. I think that's superhuman, is being able to transition out of that. I mean, I wrote a book on it, so you can message me. But this is all about the confliction of the mind, So it's how quickly we get back up when we get hit. It's how quickly we can transition out and to understand, like, I accept this is where I'm at. I'm not trying to pretend like it didn't exist. I'm not trying to pretend that I wasn't in a weird space. I'm not trying to pretend that, like, we have to be real. Like, I'm in a weird space right now. I'm not in a good space. I'm responsible for my energy. I'm responsible for how my day is going to run. My day is going to run great. I just need a little extra time than my normal. And that's okay. And this is what I got to do about it. So this is what I'm going to do about it. The confliction of the mind is just the process of making our transformation and inner conflict, the battle between our past self and our future self. So that's what we're talking about today. And so toxic behaviors during the holidays, because this is a time we really get triggered, put us in a deeper down rabbit hole. And we feel entitled to use the holidays as an excuse to disconnect and to abuse ourselves. Oh, it's the holidays. And a few sessions ago, we talked about excuses and how to leverage off of them, getting excuses on our team, like how to get excuses to work for us versus against us, because that's really important. So we don't want to use anything as a reason to disconnect. What we need to do right now, which is so critical if you do want to really thrive and make progress and flourish and free yourself and transition your obstacles into opportunities and your pain into power, accept the space you're in and know it's just a space and it's just a season and it's just a moment. And you're responsible for how you're carrying your energy, and you're responsible for how you feel, and you're responsible for how your day's going to run. And sometimes you're going to need a few moments. Sometimes you're going to need a few hours. Sometimes you're going to need the day. And that's okay. I mean, sometimes you might need a few days, but as long as you're working towards recharging yourself, that's really like what it's about. So we feel entitled to use the holidays as an excuse to disconnect. We convince ourselves that it's the holidays and we deserve a break. We use food as a pacifier to overindulge into a cloud of a food coma, which typically happens around Thanksgiving. And we let go of all our personal responsibilities. It's like they just disappear. But it actually takes like few more days should just recover from whatever damage we did when we do numb ourselves, because it's still a numbing factor. And that goes back to the difference between pain and suffering. Is pain is real. It's in the moment. It hurts your heart. It feels super uncomfortable. All these weird emotions are happening, but you work through them. So you move out of them a lot faster. When you keep shutting down the emotions and you keep shutting them up and shutting them down, you're only dragging it out even longer. And that's what suffering is. And sometimes things that we think are pleasurable in the moment, which is instant gratification, this is talking about playing for the short game, can lead to long-term suffering because it's in the moment, and then it repeats this cycle of self-sabotage. And this comes back to being real with yourself and being honest. Like, do I want to continue these patterns? Do I want to continue these behaviors? Do they really serve me? If they serve you, cool, own them. Don't complain about them, own them. But if they don't, then if you can't figure out how to get out of it, it's your job to find somebody that can support you, to help you, to give you what the tools you need, the support you need in order to like help you move through it. I'm very big on coaching. I'm very big on support. I'm very big on all that stuff. And I think that's how we move out of things a lot faster. And in the moments where you feel really weak, you feel very vulnerable, you feel like you have somebody strong to lean on. Because sometimes, and I've been in them in a few situations not too long ago, I did not feel strong enough to do it on my own. You know, and I'm a very strong woman. I'm very, very strong. But I also know when I need help. I know when I need to bring somebody on that can be my strength when I am not. And it's really important to be able to be honest about that too, because we're all human and we all go through life circumstances just in different times and different seasons. So, this goes back into, so what we are dismissing is the long-term damage that this can get us into. And that's really what it comes down to, is like just getting clear on that confliction of, every day, am I letting my past keep projecting into my future and I'm carrying that version of it? Or am I actually working with building towards the new? Because we're building towards the new, which is also super uncomfortable. You know, I like having these real conversations because people make it sound like, yes, it's like amazing. And it's great when you get there. But when you're stepping into the new and you're building this like new updated version of yourself, it's confusing and it's annoying and it's frustrating and you don't always want to show up because it's work. And what I realize is a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for doing the work. They think the growth is going to be so simple. It's not. There's work behind the work. And once you realize that and you understand what you're getting into, it makes the process a little bit smoother because it's like you're mentally prepared for it. You understand it's going to be work and you understand that it's going to be worth it. Thriving is also about putting in the work, but the work is towards your future. It's towards a forward movement. And both segments of past and future still work. It's just one's been practiced for a very long time and it's known. And this is the unknown. And that's really the only difference. But at least you're working towards something that is healthy for you. Mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, physically healthy, and energetically healthy. So when we seek food and alcohol, those are also stimulants, which can be downers depending on what you're consuming. They're uppers and downers. You know, people don't look at them as like drugs, but a lot of people have been, you know, the foods we're putting into our bodies these days, especially during the holidays, as our high. It's a drug. It gets us this high. And when in all reality, we're confused because we know food allows us to feel good. This is where that instant gratification comes in, but it's a temporary pleasure. And have you guys ever heard of the Oreo thing? I think some of you have heard of it that were in my masterminds that were here, but the Oreo with the rats and the heroin. Do you guys hear that before? Okay, so this is like how because some people like get backlash on like food isn't like a big deal, da da da. Food impacts our cognition. It impacts and could crystallize our pineal gland, the food, the alcohol. It dulls us down, it dumbs us down. So if you're somebody that is an anxious person, or you have a lot on your mind and you do not have healthy tools, and you just think like by keeping everything in, it's just going to disappear on its own, and it never does. It just gets louder and louder and louder. We use food or alcohol or stuff like that to slow us down. So there's a cycle of the FIT mindset that goes into placement of physical disease. So when we mistreat our body, we can dull our mind. When we crave discouragement, it leads into craving stimulation. And this is where the cycle of self-sabotage continues to happen. But it all starts with physical disease. So the first thing I always say is like, we got to take care of our body to take care of our mind. You know, this body and how we move it and treat it impacts our cognition. And if you're somebody who's striving for big things in life, yes, what you eat matters. Yes, your sleep matters. Yes, how your exercises counts, because creativity, mental sharpness, less likely to make mistakes, being in a better mood, being more positive. Like, this is going to be the work behind the work. Like, every day we show up for it so that we can be operating at higher levels. And so when you understand why something is important, we're less likely to put it last on the list and wonder why we're all of a sudden creating mental fog, or we wonder why we're not as mentally sharp, or we're wondering why we're making more mistakes, or we're wondering why we're moody, or we taking things out on our family, or you can't be fully present and you're all over the place and you're like, la, 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 la. Like, ADHD can really be shifted by developing a solid foundation on how well you take care of yourself, and also the art of practicing how to focus. So when we first started today's session, we started with putting our hand on our heart and just doing 5 breaths and just like tuning out and going into like connecting back in. When I was telling you about the study, the Oreo effect of the Oreo effect of the rats, right? So they did this study where they had an Oreo on one side and heroin on the other. And they had these, like, they're mice or rats. They're like in there. And if you guys know about addiction, heroin is one of the strongest addictions that people either die off of because there's such an attachment, because addiction just means attachment. I'm attached to this. I cannot live without it. I need it to get through life. I need it to, and a lot of people have really like unhealthy attachments, whether it being codependency or codependency to a stimulant to help them get through. Helps me go to sleep. It helps me this. I can't live without this. It's like a lot of these things can be simply, not easy, but simply transitioned by developing solid routines, solid structure, solid foundation, and a lot of it can work its way out, but nobody teaches this stuff. I do, but so I'm here for you guys. But anyway, so getting back to this story, heroin is one of the strongest stimulants, right? So they put Oreo cookies on the other side, heroin on the other, to see what happened. First, the rats were running back and forth and taking both. And then what they've noticed is eventually the rats were just at the Oreos. So if that doesn't tell you something, the strength of the what they put in our food and how our food impacts our cognition, impacts our mood, food can give you. If you're wondering like about anxiety, depression, a lot of times when working with people, we just change up, build out morning night routine, food schedule, eating foods in alignment to them to reduce inflammation, gut health, and all of a sudden, all that anxiety, they can get off their anxiety meds, learn some breathing, some meditation, like these foundational things, the quality of their life, they gain their life back. Like, you gain your life back. on learning how to take care of yourself. Foundational principles that were never taught. And so those voices in the mind, getting back to the original part of our conversation today, the confliction of the mind, those voices start to dissipate because the voice of truth starts to shine through. And we say we have our super conscious, which is higher consciousness. We got our consciousness where when we're more awake and aware, we can choose which voice we're going to listen to. That's the power of being mindful and self-aware, is that you choose which direction you're going to operate in on a day-to-day basis. Am I operating from my past, or am I operating from my future? You know, and because I'm present. Conscious awareness is being present. Being present is your power because you're awake and aware. And you're not operating on Autobot. You're not operating from past stuff of anticipating these are my experiences and these are the experiences I'm going to have and these are experiences of how it's always going to be. Like, no. I mean, yeah, cool if you love it and you're living your best life and you're, you know, like, yeah, keep taking those with you for sure. But even people that are living great lives, they still crave what's on the other side. How can I become a little bit better? Just to see, because now they're not satisfied and they've outgrown that version of themselves. And that's how it's always going to be. You know, depression is about living in your past. Anxiety is about living too far in the future. And your peace is having a lot of self-awareness and being right here, right now. And you're making decisions. So you're making progress. You're either going forward or you're going backwards every single day. And that's just how it works. And that's why it's called a gift, because it's a present. Because you're present. It's in Kung Fu Panda. But Eleanor Roosevelt actually said that. But Kung Fu Panda brought awareness to it. So if you guys seen that Kung Fu Panda, it was good. Let me finish this up. When we seek food and alcohol as our high, like a euphoric drug, when in all reality we're confused because we know food allows us to feel good, but it's a temporary pleasure. When we set our goals or our targets, it's imperative to seek long-term satisfaction versus temporary relief. A lot of times we're just going for that temporary relief of what I want now versus is this in alignment to what I'm trying to achieve? So, you know, there's no such thing as sacrifice when your priorities are in check because I want this more. Like there's a lot of things. Yeah, I want to go to the beach, but you know what? I want to build this empire. I want to serve, you know, millions of people. I want to, you know, support and create communities and like in union with people. Like I want that more, and there will be a time for that. And I went this morning. I still had that 2-hour like section of it, my 15 meditation. But everything's about time auditing and priorities. Like, what are your priorities? Get clear on your priorities. How do you want to feel every day? That's a priority. What energetic state do you want to operate in? And that's a priority. And you got to know and take responsibility. Like, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to make sure like I'm right so that I can keep up with my targets. I can keep up with my goals. I can keep up with my vision. You know, game on, let's go. Today's a new day. Like today's my new opportunity. Today could be my big breakthrough. Even if it is you just got up. Totally fine. You still have the day. You know, it's what we make out of it. And it's imperative so when we seek out our targets, it's imperative to seek long-term satisfaction versus temporary relief, and allowing yourself to feel the way you want to feel in your mind, in your body, in your heart, every single day, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what the story you're telling, like the difference between pain and suffering. You don't have to continue to take that story with you moving forward. That's why it's called the past. So unless you want to be in an energetic state of depression, you got to do what you got to do to get yourself in a forward movement mindset. And every day that conflict is going to present itself. Which direction am I going to be moving in? Every day through conscious awareness, I'm aware my mind is going this way. Like, let me pull a few tools, reset myself, and get it up and running, like in the direction of where I want to go and what I'm building and what I'm creating, and practice being that person like now, today. So that's what I have for today. We talked about the confliction of the mind. We've been on for, oh my gosh, like already an hour. Crazy. Every single day at 12 p.m. Eastern, we're going live. So make sure you share this with your friends, with your family. Let them know we're going to thrive this holiday season. Take these things into awareness. Implement one little thing, and you're already going to get better. But in the meantime, remember, you really do deserve to thrive this holiday season. And that's why we created this community. So I love you guys. Send me a message if you need any support with anything. And I'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. If you have any messages or any golden nuggets that you really loved, make sure that you share them. And I have, yeah. So I'm going to see what you guys said. Yeah, that's everything. I think we covered everything. We love strong-minded people. Yes, what's going on? And that's it. Yeah. All right. So you guys, thank you so much for watching. Giving you guys so much love. And I will talk to you tomorrow at 12. Make sure you're here, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the time change right now. It's like 12:51. There was a time change. So I know some of you guys didn't have time changes because I got some messages on that. But anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow at 12 and hope you enjoyed today's session. Bye.